Let's just look real quick at prime cost for last week and see where we're at. You beat your projection by almost $2,000, so that's fantastic. Now, when I looked at food costs, so food costs, our target's 32, we ran at 22. And I already kind of looked a little earlier, so I'm going to show you what I found.
Okay.
So we're about $1,000 under budget. So payroll, so we were at a 5.6 was our target, but we ran at 8.13, so we were about $300 over on labor target. So that put us, now granted, because the cost of goods is so low, it put us at a 50.97. Now, since your POS is not integrated with our system yet, okay?
Right.
I'm going to show you a different way to go back and look at your inventory and to see if there's any mistakes that you can kind of catch right off the bat.
Okay.
So I'm going to go to inventory items, and then here's this button up here where it says compare. So when you hit compare, it's going to ask you all the locations. So I'm just going to pick all of them, right?
Right.
I'm going to say, I want to look at the inventory on the 20th, and then this last inventory on the 27th. And then I'm going to hit compare, and it's going to create a PDF file. So what you can do is watch, I'm going to scroll all the way down at first. And then this gives you your totals. So this is the 20th, the 27th. So main walk-in, we had $1,500, let's say $1,600. Well, this inventory, we had $2,300, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say, okay, that's a nice size swing. So let's go look at main walk-in first. So we got main walk-in. So here, I'm just going to show you, it's going to have the product, vendor ID, and then basically the inventory unit of how you count it. And then this is the unit size, right? So on this one, we're counting it by the pound. You're going to see the price. So this price stayed the same. Sometimes you'll see the prices change. It all depends.
Gotcha.
Okay. Then it's going to show you the count that you had on the 20th and the count that you had on the 27th. Okay. So I'm going to look at just between the extensions and see if I see anything that's really big. So now this one, you went from having 5 pounds of the chili to 30 pounds. Does that sound right?
Yeah, because 30 pounds is a case.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
I remember 5 pounds, we ended up with 1 left over.
All right, perfect. So that's what I'm just going to kind of look at. I'm just going to kind of scroll down and just see if I see anything that really pops out. So right here, so blue cheese crumbles. Okay, so you count it by the 5 pounds. So on the 20th, we had 10 pounds, and now we have 25 pounds. So you think was it just 5 pounds of blue cheese, you think?
I would say that if this is being counted by the 5 pounds.
Yep.
All right, in this column, I see the 2.
So you had, so you had 2 5-pounders on the 20th, and then it's saying you have 5 5-pounders on this last inventory.
No, that wouldn't be right. That should have been only 5 pounds.
5 pounds. Now, how do you want to count the blue cheese? You want to count it by the pound, or do you want to count it by the 5 pounds?
I think by the pound may be better.
Okay, I'm going to show you. We're going to change that in a second. All right. So sour cream. So look, you had $6 worth of sour cream. Now you got 179. So it's cut. Now this is the individual packs. So you had 100 per case. So on the 20th, it says that you had a half a case, and this inventory says you got 15 cases.
Okay, no. So on this one, since it showed 100 each, those I noticed when I looked at that it looked at weird that it said 0.5, and to me it seemed like that had changed because those normally I count them out individually. So that's where that 100 would come from. That 100 and whatever would come from. But for me counting them individually out.
100. So you actually had. So that's.
So I know I had 100 for sure.
How much?
I said I know I had a full case, which was a 100 count.
Okay.
And plus there was some in another case. So
It'd be 1.5.
Okay. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. I know you're going to be like, no, Gino, don't tell me that. But I'm going to tell you, don't try to count each one because that takes a lot of time, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you, count it by the case and just use decimals. So if you look at the case, hey, it's full, it's 1. If it looks like it's 3/4, hey, 0.75.
Gotcha.
Because it's not worth your time to sit there, and it's not that much money to be counting each individual one. Okay? So again, I want to make this go quick for you, and you're going to find it's going to be more accurate. I know that sounds crazy, but it is. Because now instead of taking 10 minutes to count that out, it's going to take you about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, so in here, where you have 100 each, is it better for it to say case?
Well, what happens is we can't do just by the case. Now I can type it in. I'll show you where I can put it, and then it'll show up when you're doing your inventory, and it's going to show case, right? So when even if you're not counting it, someone else is, it's going to be right there, and I'm going to show you where it's at. And as you're counting it, you're like, oh look, that's by the case.
Right.
Okay. So all right, we'll change that. Okay, so chicken tenderloin clip. So it's telling me that you had 200 pounds. Or is that just 20 pounds?
That should have been just 20 pounds.
Okay. Now, on that, do you want to count that by the pound? Or do you want it, because right now it's by the 10 pounds?
Yeah, when it's by the pound, it's easier because if I see a 5-pound bag, I can say 5 pounds. If I see 2, I can say 10 pounds.
Okay.
I think that I'm the way that I'm reading that, it's actually going in the system differently than what I'm perceiving it to be.
Gotcha.
So anything that's by the pound, I can do. But let's say like if there's a 50-pound bag of sugar, and I know half of it is gone, I'll put 25.
Gotcha. Okay. Now here's one right here. So the cayenne pepper, it's saying that you had 25 pounds.
No, those are counted by the pound, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So that cayenne here it's only half of that. I think it's a 6-pound.
Oh, it's showing here 5.
So it'll be a 0.5.
Yeah, so it's like a little bit less than that half. So that should be
0.5.
2. Yeah, it should have been like 2.5.
So you had two of them?
No, it would be 0.5. It was
0.5,
half a
yep.
bottle. If it's half of a 5, it's 0.5. If you go 2.5, that's like you have 2.5 bottles of it.
Right.
That might be on my end in putting it. I don't know.
Now that's by the pound, and they said, but they're 5-pound jars, right?
Oh,
Okay.
So it should be 2.5.
2.5. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the jar. Okay.
So that was almost like another almost $100. So now we're at 29.24. So we only have 292. So then what you can also do, I'm going to show you. Here's just another tool. So right here under prime cost, you got cost of goods sold. So I like to do this. I'm going to hit compare. And then I'm going to pick the 13th through the 20th, and then the 20th through the 27th. Let me make this a little bigger. So here you can see, so here's on your food. So this is the week of the 13th through the 20th, and then this is the 20th through the 27th. So here's your beginning inventory. So you had $2,300 to begin with. You purchased $3,700. Your ending inventory was $2,700, right? So it's saying for that week you used $3,200 and you did $14,000 in sales in food. But then if you look up here, so you started with $2,761. You purchased $3,400. So your ending inventory was $3,000, and it says your use was $3,100 to do $10,000. in sales. So you can just look at it and say, okay, so the week before I'm going to round it up, $3,300 to do 14,000. And then this week I did 3,100 to do 10,500. So that's how you have a 23 here and a 29 here.
Right.
So this is a great little tool just to kind of look at it. That way you can see if there's something, hey, did I miss an invoice? Did I do, something like that? You can kind of look at and say, all right, this is where we're off. But
Gotcha.
you can see your purchases, it's only $300 difference.
Yeah.
And then let's just look, schedule variance for this week. So right now, as we stand, so we're projected to do 13,200 for the week. And this is what we're budgeted, right? That we can spend. And this is what we actually have scheduled. So you can see we're $163 over our budget in labor. If everything stays the same, if sales stay the same and the schedule stays the same.
For this week.
Correct. Yep.
It'll be lower because we just let somebody go. So.
Gotcha.
I mean, I could do it. It
Okay.
doesn't matter. I do it later when I get back. 'Cause it's been a runaround morning, but yeah,
Gotcha.
we just found out today. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then
Now, is that normal then? Is that normal to have a variance like that, or is that something we're doing wrong?
But you know that there's going to be, I think, about 20 hours falling off this weekend too.
Right, that's true too. That's another person we're losing this weekend. I didn't think about that.
So
our labor will be low because it's going to be all of us really working.
Gotcha.
Well,
So this is not bad at all, right? But again, you always just want to keep an eye on it.
Okay.
So I'll just tell you, I had a client when I first started with them, and when I tell you this number, you're going to be like, "There's no way." And I'm telling you, we looked at their projection in sales, and then we put their schedule in, $7,000 a week over in labor. $7,000.
So what ended up getting done with that? It was just a lot of people had to be let go. How do you?
So they would just they had on this one place, they had, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I want to say they had 14 servers, and they each had on average 1.5 tables.
Oh, wow.
And people were quitting because the servers weren't making any money. It was rough. And in the kitchen, they did breakfast, and breakfast wasn't that busy at all. And they would have anywhere from 3 to 4 people cooking. So I'm like, okay, let's start. And again, and even if y'all were out of whack, I wouldn't tell you cut all, I didn't ask those people, cut $7,000 in 1 week. Because you know what happens if you do that? You put a shockwave through your whole business.
Right.
It shocks your team members, and it affects your guest experience. So I'm like, let's start cutting little by little.
Yeah.
And huge. I mean, then I'm telling you, it took about a month and a half, and they actually were hitting their labor targets.
Okay.
And this isn't bad. This is just something, again, you want to keep an eye on, because if your sales go up, right? If you start to say, hey, wait, look, we're actually beating our target every day, then you're probably going to be under. But again, if sales drop down, you're like, ooh, today was really low. It just makes you in the back of your mind going, all right, do I need to start cutting somebody a little bit earlier?
Yeah, which we have to kind of look at a little bit with our servers too. And kitchen's really tight right now.
Gotcha.
But I've noticed that the servers, I should be cutting one a little earlier. We've been keeping them a little late. I mean, it's $4 or whatever it is, but it's here and
No,
it
definitely.
adds up,
But look, this is something else that we always tell. You have to keep, you can't just have one person in the kitchen, right?
Right.
There's just no way that you can get the service, keep your ticket times the same. And we get that. We just want you to be just thinking of it. So I've had other people that I'd said, look, instead of cutting people out completely, say, hey, do I need that person? I need both people in at, say, 9 in the morning when we open at 11.
Right.
Can you bring them in at 9:15?
Which
Maybe one at 9:30.
which we've been doing. I mean, we've been really good about that part of it. It's just the online orders are taking off so nice.
Yeah,
and it kind of hurts our servers a little. I feel bad for them because they're not making as much without the. But as far as the bottom line, it's helping because it's been amazing, our online. So.
Yeah. Well, we always use this saying. You know how when you fly on an airplane, and they said if you're flying with a child, and the mask, the cabin loses pressure and the mask drop. Put the mask on the child first. On you first.
Yeah.
And then help the child. What's the same thing with the business? You got to make sure you take care of the business, because if not, everybody will lose their job.
Right.
So that's what.
I got you.
Yep.
So did you hear that, Jay? I get the mask before anybody. So remember
that. Yeah, I heard that.
I better see that mask on my face before I see it on anybody else.
Yeah. I know one time I was on a flight and one of the flight attendants said, if you have more than one child, pick your favorite one. I said, wow, all right. Okay, so do y'all have any questions, any concerns?
No, we got to get going on I know we keep talking about it. We got to get going on that food on our menu, on the recipe cards. And then I think everything else will fall, as I'm telling you, we're we got hit pretty hard, our kitchen, and Jay's working hard to keep it going. And so and with the holidays, I'm looking forward to, I know everyone is looking forward to getting the holidays over with and getting into 2021.
Sure.
And then I think, but we're plugging along. We're doing as much as we can to get it done. Love the system. It's just,
awesome.
I know that's the last piece of it, at least.
Yeah.
Not the last piece, but at least we'll be able to learn a lot more when we get it done.
So this is what I'll tell you, is I always tell people, don't try to do the whole menu in one day, because it's not going to happen. I would pick a recipe a day. Okay, I'm going to write this one down, because look, a lot of times, if you don't have it written, if you don't have all the weights for everything, so the weights on the sliced tomato, the weights on the lettuce that you're putting on, anything like that, just start getting those together, writing it down, and do one recipe a day. And again, it doesn't overwhelm you. It doesn't take that much time. But once you have those weights, you can actually write a sub recipe. So let's just say, every burger is going to get, I'm just saying, either 1 or 2 slices of tomato, lettuce, and let's say a pickle. Once you have those weights, you could actually write a recipe for burger prep, right? Or you call it condiments, whatever you want to call it. And now that one recipe goes into every other burger recipe. And so you don't have to keep doing it. You do it once, and now you just push it forward. And again, as long as I always say, progress over perfection, right? Because I've had people where they're like, I'm going to wait until I have every recipe written. I'm like, okay, that's never. I said, I've been there, done that. I found, but that's what I would do. I would, in the middle of the day, when I was slow, I would sit there and I would put my recipes in. And then I tried to do 5 a day. And now granted, I had 95% of my recipes already written. It just didn't have all the yield. That's how most people write recipes. Oh, I'm going to make, let's just say, a marinara sauce. I'm going to use this, and this. Well, that's great. But how much does it make? So you got to make it. You got to measure it. And then you say, okay, now get your graduated cylinders and say, okay, that makes 12 quarts or whatever it is.
Gotcha.
Have that. Now you can finish and then keep moving forward. But
okay, so I had a question, if you can go into it, because I was watching a couple of Brittany's her videos, and for some reason I was getting an error message when I was actually trying to pick the product, like flour, and then it was giving me this error message saying that I had to have a number in the field, which made no sense to me.
All right,
later on
in a recipe.
Yeah, somehow later on it went away, so I finally got the beer batter going, and I was able to weigh a few things. And that's the thing, is that it takes some time to go and weigh this.
Okay. So when you were trying to save it right here, and then it was throwing an error. Okay, but look, so it's well, here it's saying your quantity must be larger than 0
Okay,
because
so
there's
this part,
nothing here.
right. So okay, so this part, she was saying something about, okay, so you need to weigh, you need to find the weight of the whole batch, right?
Correct.
Okay, so this beer batter, it has the flour, it's got the Cajun, it's also got the beer.
Right.
And then I went ahead and even weighed the onions out to see how many is in an order. That's about
Right.
it. Okay, now it also includes water, of course. We're not buying the water to put in it. So the water is also, I guess it doesn't matter, right?
Well, it does, just because
Okay.
is all right. So yeah, so we don't have water in as a product. I'm going to show you, and the reason is, because I always say this: I want my recipe. If I want to take a day off or take a vacation, and someone has to fill in for me, I don't want them to have to guess, right?
Right.
So now we come in here. So city water. All right, how much water goes in it?
It's 3 cups, but I haven't weighed the 3 cups.
Okay, I can figure that out because a gallon of water is 8 point something a gallon, so I can figure that out for you. And then what I'll do is then when I do the water, I'll figure out the beer, right? This should be about the same weight, and then these are already in weight, so we can put that in, and then I'll put in. So I'm just going to put it in for right now. So let's just say you can either do this by weight, or we can even do this by volume. So if you know, like when you make this, all you're doing is dipping your items in it, right? All right, well, we'll just do weight. 4 pounds is what it makes. I'm going to do this by the pound and this by the ounce. I'm going to put here pound, ounce, and now it gives you your cost. So now whenever you batter anything, you can just kind of figure, is it an ounce? Now, an ounce is a good bit. Is it a half an ounce? Whatever, we can kind of come up with that. It would all depend on now how thick is this batter? Is it really thick or is it pretty loose?
It's pretty loose. I mean, it's a thicker. It grips the onion. I mean, it's not like thin like water, of course, but it is a little thicker, but not super thick.
So, well, you can do this if you have a small scale. You can weigh the onion before you batter it.
Oh, that's true.
And then do it, and then throw it on there, and then you tell me, okay, this is how much it is, and then when you do, let's say you serve 12 onion rings to an order. Well, now you kind of know how much, and then you write the recipe.
Yeah, that's cool. That makes sense. Cool.
And that way, because what happens is once all the recipes are in, then we'll pull your P-mix in and import it every week. So now when you want to say, wait, my food cost I think's off, you're going to be able to look at it and go, okay, these are the products that I have the biggest variance on. So either my recipe's not right, or I have a problem, right? We had some waste, lost, or theft. Okay. I was working with somebody this morning. That's what we did. We pulled it in, and I always tell you, I said, because a lot of times when people are hunting for stuff, they're looking at the wrong items. And I always say, just pick your top 10. Let's go chase those down first. Gotcha. And you'll see the top 10 items that have a variance are usually the ones that have the variance every single week, and that's where all your money's tied up. Once you get those top 10 and the rest, you'll just see, like the client I was working with this morning, their numbers were so small on variance, but now granted, they've been working at it for a while, and like they had an issue with the product and they were just eyeballing the measurement, and this was an expensive item. It was octopus, and it was they were kept being off. So I'm like, portion it out. They portioned it out, and now it was in the top 2 items, and it was actually a couple $100 variance a week. And now it's probably, I think today we looked at it, it was like number 27 on the list. And it was only I think it was $4 off on variance.
Cool.
Okay, so let's say if our keg blew a course, and for that week we didn't receive a hot shot for some strange reason, and we used a different beer. Does that throw anything off? Does it need to be recorded, or that usage from the other beer?
So I would tell you, no, I wouldn't change the recipe if it's just for that 1 week. I wouldn't change it. I would leave it. I would leave it that way. But I would make sure I put it in my manager notes so everybody is on the same page, and okay, we had to change the beer on this, so that way when we look at it, go, wait, why is the usage off on this? I'm just using Budweiser. Why is that off? Oh yeah, remember Jay said that they were out of the cores, and we had to use this.
Right.
So.
Yeah, because we were bouncing back and forth on that a little bit. So, okay.
Mark, you have anything? Any questions or concerns?
No, it's a good lesson today. It's just.
All right. Well, like I said, y'all need anything, reach out to us. Let us know.
I'll have Danny. I'll shoot that video, Gino, and I'll send it to you in a little bit.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah. Cool.
And we'll get this resolved as fast as we can. And then, look, I'd like to wish both of y'all a very happy New Year.
You too, Gino.
All right. And hey, I'll talk to y'all next week.
You got it, man. Thanks,
Hey,
Gino.
thank y'all so much. Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.